Good evening. Welcome to the Marlboro Township Board of Education Board of Ed meeting, March 14th, 2023. Vin?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Lewonsky?
Here.
Mrs. Mendez?
Here.
Mr. Petruno?
Here.
Mrs. Piernick? Mrs. Rosado?
Here.
Mrs. Shrem?
Here.
Mrs. Seward? And Mrs. Amster?
Here. Sunshine Law. Be advised that this meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 PL 1975 Sunshine Law, and that adequate notice of the date, time, and agenda has been sent to the Asbury Park Press and has been posted and filed with the Marlboro Township Clerk. Copies have also been sent to each district school and other area newspapers in accordance with the law. I won't read in full, but I will draw your attention to statement of videotaping of public portion of Board of Ed meetings, public comment statement, no smoking on school grounds. Can everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcements? Mr. Ballone?
I do. Good evening, everyone. As you entered the board meeting today, we were showing a video of this year's hackathon that was held at Marlboro Middle School on March 2nd. There were over 100 MTPS middle school students in attendance. High school students, accompanied by their supervisors from neighboring districts, also assisted our students in this endeavor. In addition, we had industry professionals who shared experiences from the real world. So this was a great slideshow that was put together by Megan White and Tricia Tindorf, so thank you to them as well.
Vin, public comments?
So I do not have my paper list in front of me, but there's no one signed up on either. Would anybody like to speak public comment? Please just state your name and your address or affiliation.
Persico, hi. I am a teacher here in the district, right here at Memorial. I am a close follower of the meetings and always interested because it is so meaningful to what we do here in helping the students of Marlboro. I'm here to express the thoughts of myself and other teachers here at Memorial, specifically in regards to the budget and the online programs that were discussed at last meeting. And I reached out to other teachers here in the building and asked them their thoughts on online programs, the ones we use, the ones that were up for being renewed for next year. And I got exactly what I kind of thought I would get. People use a variety of programs. They use Kami, they use Pear Deck, they use Actively Learn, they use Achieve. They use them to vary what they're doing in the classroom, to allow for small group instruction, to engage students directly, or sometimes just when they have to be engaged in smaller group work. There's a wide variety of programs. I know that every year we get several surveys from Mrs. Gross talking about what programs we use and how we use them. There are some of us who pay for programs out of our own pockets. I do, and several other teachers I talk to here in the district do, because not all the programs we want get approved. So we use more than there are even here on this list. And I guess my point is the ones that are there have been thoughtfully considered and picked, and we really need them. We really use them. We'd love to see them be approved again. As far as the budget and going to the cap, I guess as teachers here, our concern is if you don't, we can't see bigger class sizes. Our social studies and science classrooms here at Memorial, they're already big. It's a lot, you know, having 28, 30 kids in a room and trying to give them the attention they need and ensure that they're learning and progressing. So I'm just here to talk to you about like what we as teachers see and feel, and it's been tough. It's been tough through these years, and not having the support of the board, not having the support in the budget, that would be painful. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak?
I just address?
Yeah.
Oh, you go
Yeah.
ahead.
I just want to, I'm sorry, I don't recall your name who just spoke.
Kristen Persick.
Krista, I'm sorry, I apologize, I am horrible with names. I just want you to know, because I did do my due diligence, the last time the board didn't go to cap was in 2017. So it's been many years, and no one up here was on the board then. So I just don't want the public to think that this sitting board has not gone to cap, has not gone to 2%. That's from 2017, we were not here, so. But, oh, yeah, yes, no, I understand, I'm just, okay.
Just one thing too. Ms. Persico, I'm sorry, I can't see you, but I want to just address, so, hi. So, just to speak to the one thing about the class size, I do want to say that we hear you. We actually have spent countless hours with Vinny and Michael Ballone. We've all met with them. That is not our intention either. So we know the impact it would have on kids to go to larger class sizes. And I know we're still in budget conversations and we'll be presenting things, and I appreciate all of you that come to speak. We're there with you on class size too. So I just want you to know that. I can't guarantee everything else, but we're there with you on the impact to the kids. So thank you.
And just to add on to that, as a teacher myself, that's the number one concern that I always have for all of the fellow teachers in district. Class size is very important. Myself, I teach 33 students. It's really hard to get to every student on a daily basis, and that's the last thing anyone wants to do. So please understand that we all have your best interest as well as our students in mind. Thank you.
Yep. So would anybody else like to speak? First round of public comment. Okay, seeing none, Mrs. Amster?
Let's go. Communications, Mr. Ballone?
No communications.
Okay. HIB?
HIB report for the period of March 1st, 2023 through March 9th, 2023. We have one incident.
Okay. Approval of minutes resolution. Val?
Be it resolved that the minutes of the following meeting be approved as submitted, January 17, 2023. I so move.
Do I have a second? Susie? Any discussion? I see none. Ben?
Sure. Mr. Lewanski?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno? Mrs. Piernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosado?
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
And Mrs. Amster?
Yes. Okay, we're going to go to the discussion of the 23-24 school year budget. Ben?
Yes, so prior to our approval tonight, I just wanted to briefly go over the budget memo number 3 that was sent to everybody on March 7th. The first thing we just wanted to touch upon was the last time we met, our state aid had not been released yet. So our state aid was released on, I believe, March 1st, and we received a state aid notice showing a reduction of $214,362. So our total state aid for 23-24, sorry, let me start there, was $7.4 million, which is a reduction of $214,000 from our 22-23 state aid total. This reduction is $450,000 lower than what was anticipated in the previous budget memos, so we were reduced slightly less than what we anticipated, which was good news. The Chapter 44 tax relief, as you know, last year we had that $800,000 reduction to cap from the Chapter 44 adjustment. We had to appeal it, and it was brought down to $80,000. This year, it was calculated at a reduction of $410,000. We received that, I believe, a few days after the state aid notice. So by that, we had to revise our numbers and resubmit because we did not agree with the calculation. They came back with a different number. We didn't agree with that either, and we submitted again, and we were actually able to get a new number that we felt close and agreed with today. I believe at 4 o'clock is when I sent the addendum over, and that number was for, instead of $410,000, it went down to $39,000, which was, again, a great savings for us to not have to reduce the total tax levy by that much. So I wanted to go now and discuss the tentative budget. So what we are proposing tonight, that is a 2% tax levy with the health adjustment waiver attached to it. As discussed previously, This is only a tentative budget. This is not the final budget. This is something that needs to be submitted to the county for review and approval, and we are allowed to make changes until the public hearing and the final budget hearing. We've been tasked, Mr. Ballone and I have been tasked with trying to reduce the budget by $1 million to reduce the tax levy so we do not have to go up to 4%. And we have been working on putting that together and providing that to the board, which will be in discussion in executive until the final budget hearing. So what we actually decide on to cut to reach that $1 million. If we are able to reach that $1 million, it would essentially bring the tax levy down from 4% to about 2.7%, 2.6% and change. We would still need to use some of the health benefit waiver because, again, the health benefits are out of control, but we hear the community and we want to try to do the best we can to not go to 4%, but also make reductions that are mindful and efficient enough to where it has the least student impact on anything we try to do here in the school district. So tonight, again, is just a tentative budget for approval.
Anybody have any questions? Any board members? Val?
No, I think I've asked Vinny and team a million questions in our many meetings, so thank you.
I just want to thank Vinny for taking the time to answer all of the multitude of questions on a daily basis that we throw your way. You really have been so accommodating and thorough. Thank you.
Vinny's been answering questions 10 o'clock at night if something pops up. So, Vinny, you go above and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. We're good with questions? Okay. Financial and business operations matters. Susie.
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, adoption of the tentative 23-24 school year budget. 2, adjustment for healthcare costs. 3, withdrawal from maintenance reserve. 4, travel and related expense reimbursement. 5, harassment, intimidation, bullying report. 6, approval of agreement for firewall equipment, data networking equipment, and associated licenses, components, support, and professional services. 7, approval of agreement for Cat 6 cabling, 12-strand OM for fiber runs, and associated materials labor. I so move.
Do I have a second? Christina? Any discussion? I see none. Vinny?
Okay. Mr. Lolansky?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Piernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosado?
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
And Mrs. Amster?
Yes. Personnel matters. Aldo?
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, resignations. 2, approval of contract acting superintendent of schools. 3, employment secretary. 4, employment additional assignment. I so move.
Do I have a second? Jessica? Any discussion? I see none. Vinny?
Mrs. Rosado?
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
Mr. Lolansky?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mrs. Piernick?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno?
Yes.
And Mrs. Amster?
Yes. Old business? New business? Mr. Ballone?
Thank you. Mrs. Amster, members of the Board of Education, staff, students, and the greater school community. It is a great honor and privilege for me to accept this opportunity to serve as your acting superintendent. I began my career in the district almost 2 decades ago as a student teacher at Marlboro Middle School. As an ELA teacher, then supervisor, director of curriculum instruction, human resources, I've experienced increasing administrative responsibilities and an expanding part as a district leader. As assistant superintendent, I have had the chance to serve as understudy for this major role in the Marlboro Township Public Schools. Although humbled by the trust and confidence that has been placed in me to act in this capacity, I know that the stage has been set for me to enter the spotlight. I am committed to working tirelessly to ensure our schools continue to provide the exemplary education our community knows and expects, and I am confident that I can assume the part successfully. Thank you, Board of Education, for your unwavering support as I have begun auditioning for and transitioning into this role. The script is familiar, as we have already spent countless hours sifting through various meeting agendas, having phone conversations, and meeting both in person and virtually to ensure Marlboro school system remains center stage to our community. I look forward to many more positive dialogues with you in the future. To the students out there, I say your education is my top priority, and I promise to provide you the best opportunities to learn and grow in this ever-changing world. I am committed to creating a safe and welcoming theater in which you can imagine, rehearse, and fulfill your hopes and dreams. I will always provide direction to help you thrive while you study to become productive actors in our society. We will set the stage for you to become stars as you catapult into the 22nd century. To the Marlboro teachers, administrators, and other cast members in this major production, I would like to express my deep appreciation for your dedication to our students and your diligence in providing them the best education possible. I fully recognize your efforts are the essential storyline of our organization, and I will continue to support and applaud you as I always have in my various past roles. Together, we will provide the highest quality education to all students in order for them to achieve their greatest potential, regardless of ability or disability. And finally, parents out there, thank you, parents, guardians, and resident community members who have supported this school district over the years. In return for your support, I commit to working with you and this Board of Education to ensure that together as an ensemble, we harness the energy of many into one unstoppable synergy. I believe that we can look forward to a successful run and a long season of enjoying the end performance and great reviews that result when a school district genuinely partners with parents and guardians in their children's education. Thank you. I do have another item under new business. We did receive a question related to special education from a community member. So I'll read the question just so everyone understands what the question is, and then I'll provide the district responses. So the question that came in, how many new submissions did Marlboro receive for the 21-22 and the 22-23 school year for IEPs/504s? How many were approved, denied, and how many existing students were declassified during those years? And how many lawsuits or possible lawsuits is the district looking at? Obviously confined to IEPs and 504s. So for 2021-22, for IEPs, there were 249 new referrals. So this is all about new referrals, new submissions. 55 students declassified. 38 were found ineligible. There were 9 that were withdrawn. 22 evaluations that were not warranted. So there were new classifications, 125, and not classified was 124. So about half. 504s for that year, students receiving services, 169. There were 4 ineligible. And that was for the 21-22 school year. So I'll go down the same numbers for the 22-23 school year. New referrals, 195. Declassified, 14. Ineligible, 15. 8 referrals were withdrawn. Evaluations not warranted was 18. Classified students new 140, not classified 55. Receiving services 171, ineligible 1 for 504s. And then finally, with respect to lawsuits, we currently have 1 active lawsuit and 1 pending mediation. And that's all I have.
Under new business, I just wanted to, we received an email from a parent regarding our move to go to full-day pre-K, and I just wanted to let the public know what transpired. We voted, I think it was 2 meetings ago, to go to the 7,400. A few of the school districts surrounding us and some private schools that already have pre-K in place, this is what they're charging. Freehold Township Public, 8,000. Colts Neck Public Schools, 10,000. Little Leapers, 7,600. Step Ahead, 8,000. Marlboro Jewish Center, 7,400. Ivy League, 10,670. Yellow Duck, 10,200. Turtle Creek, 10,280. The reason we went to 7,400 is because when the half-day program was at 2,500, we were sustaining a loss approximately of about $97,500, $98,000. We're not making money on this. When we went to full day, Vin did the numbers for us to have the same comparable loss of $98,000. We went to 7,400. We have to pay teachers. They have benefits. That's how we got to that number.
I think something else that came up was the spacing, right, Vin? So we couldn't go for a certain grant because we can only hold it in one place.
Right, so there's certain districts that applied for a preschool expansion grant, which allows universally free pre-K for anybody that resides in that town. Unfortunately, we didn't apply for that grant because we just couldn't meet the space and the capacity that was needed to support a program like that. And just to reiterate, so those tuition rates you said were the 22-23 rates, so I'm sure for next year, 23-24, they're going to go up from what we just reported out.
Okay. Public comments? Oh, Aldo, sorry.
Yeah. Do we know how, like, the tuition, is it going to be, is there going to be, like, options for, like, like a 10 pay or a 6 pay, or?
No, we just feel that that's not the best approach because at the end of the day, we don't want to, constantly chase families down if in the event that it's not paid. So we just try to stick to the same method, which I believe it's, Chris, if I'm not mistaken, it's one payment due, or is everything due up front?
No, the deposit is due at the lottery.
Right, so the deposit's due at the end of the lottery and then the right, so the remaining balance due half of August and then January.
Okay, so it's basically.
It is spaced out, not
2
everything is
payments.
due up
Okay.
front, but so it is
All right.
spaced out in 3 payments instead of essentially
Okay.
10.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just before we go to public comment, I just want to say, Mr. Ballone, congratulations.
Thank you.
Any other board members have any questions or comments? Okay. Vin, public comments?
Okay, so I don't see any on my lists. Would anybody like to speak? Okay.
Good evening, board members and everyone. Congratulations, Mr. Pallone.
Sorry, just please state your name and your address.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Nancy Georgie, Morganville, New Jersey. I have few points and just thoughts in my mind. I'm going to be speaking as a parent. My kids already in middle and high school, so I have been in Marlboro experience for almost together 15 years. So I give myself, so I can talk about the whole experience here. One of the online programs that need really to go is TMAS. We have TMAS. We complained about it. We spoke to the teachers. We spoke to the math coaches in the school. They said this is what the district offer us, and this is what the kids have to spend 20 minutes. It's wasteful 20 minutes. in the school and at home to spend 20 minutes from the kids with very short focus span. It's too long to spend 20 minutes on useless program like ST Math. And I'm not gonna talk about money-wise. The other thing is, please limit and reduce the technology at younger age or eliminate it at all because it's not helping. I see the results now. You don't see it in elementary school. You see it by the end of middle school when the kids don't know how to gain the skills that they are really missed when they're using regular pen and paper and focusing skills, so many things. And when everything, if it's not introduced through technology, it's boring. And I think all the parents hear this word 10 times a day at least. Because of too much technology in the school, at home, technology is not the best solution for everybody. It's not. And when you talk about to match with the like technology and stuff like that, it does not help everybody. Spelling. Kids in middle and high school don't know how to spell. And when I talked about this, maybe when my older daughter was in 3rd grade, I was told spelling does not mean much because words have different meaning. So it's useless to tell them to memorize the spelling of a word because at the end of the day, they're not gonna use it the right way, which was very ridiculous claim. I just have one more point. I would like from the new Board of Education to focus more on academics and the concept of hard work pays off. Because this concept, I didn't hear it from the teachers to the kids. What I hear from the teachers to the kids in the school, do your best at the test. Do your best all year round and it will show up by itself on the test. And if there is unnecessary test, please don't let the kids go through unnecessary tests. It's not only stressful, it teaches them to be careless about the concept of testing. And finally, the dress code. If we're teaching the kids to be professional when they grow up, please enforce the dress code in the schools. Thank you so much for the time.
Would any board members like to comment or administration? Oh, sorry. Oh, Christina?
Nancy, thank you so much for your comments. As the chair of the curriculum committee, I have taken down all of your concerns and we will discuss it at the next curriculum committee meeting. I just want you to understand that I totally hear what you're saying and I promise to have these discussions and bring back at the next meeting. Thank you. Yes. Technology. I completely hear you. Thank you.
I just wanted to say I understand about ST Math. I have middle schoolers myself, and so I understand the frustration of a child with an IEP struggling with ST Math and how frustrating it can be at times. And so I understand your point as well. I know we're looking into all of these things. I can't say my opinion is just my own opinion. It's not of, of the general public. It's just mine. But I hear you on that.
Ms. McCormick?
Hi, Ashley McCormick, 16 Riley Road. I was not a fan of the full day pre-K. I still am not. I'm actually really disappointed. My son went through the pre-K 3 and 4, and it was a wonderful program, and I love Abbott, and it holds a great place in my heart. So I was really disappointed because my 2.5-year-old is not ready for full day at 3 years old. It's not happening. But I understand I have other options. I'll go private. But if I could at least plead to the board for the 20 parents I've spoken to in the last couple weeks who can't afford $7,400, can you guys please break it into more than 2.5 payments? Because that deposit, if it stays the same, is I think $900. Maybe you guys are going to do $1,000 or whatever you're going to do. But it's still, if you take $7,400 minus the $900 deposit and divide it by the 2 payments, it's still $3,250, and that's a big nut. We're kind of in a recession here, guys. So if you could please, if you have any pull, I'm not sure if you do or if it's even a votable thing, but if the district could please think about maybe breaking it into 4 payments for the parents. I know there's only 40 of them, but thank you.
Mrs. Bono?
Hi, Farrah Bono, 26 Nashua Drive. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Ballone, fellow community members, and colleagues. As a parent who sent 2 children through the K-8 district in Marlboro, both at Dugan and Original Middle, I can tell you that the online programs vary, as well as the learning styles of each student in this town. I can tell you I had one child who struggled with ST Math, the abstract thinking, but I can also tell you that I had another child that thrived. What works for one does not always work for another. ST Math builds cognitive ability through abstract thinking. There are some learners who need that cognitive thinking and structure and practice in order to build their abilities. There are others who need more skill-based programs. We differentiate our instruction in this town to meet the needs of every child, and I would hate to see some programs eliminated only because many people are at home watching on the YouTube channel or some are uncomfortable speaking. But I do think we need to remember, I'm not sure exactly how many students are in the district. I would assume it's over 4,000, but what works for one is not going to work for another, and we do need to have variegated levels of instruction in order to meet those needs. Through ST Math, IXL, Achieve, we have a variety of programs to meet the needs of every learner. So as you are looking at these online programs, please take that into consideration, as well as my last plug, go to CAP.
Christina, can you add to your curriculum notes to find out what the other districts around us are doing in terms of programs? Because I think right now the way Marlboro is setting up the students is to prepare them for the high school. So if you could find out what the other surrounding towns are doing and what Freehold Regional is doing so that the transition is seamless would be great.
I just want to say, I guess regarding the programs, but not really, but kind of, regarding the budget in all and looking at everything. So we're not only looking at the online programs, though, you know, all of the information and hearing everybody's feedback is very helpful always. We just have to keep in mind that we have spent so much time trying to make sure that we're doing right by the school district and right by the community members. And so we've worked very closely with Vin. So we really are taking everything into account, looking really carefully at every single thing that won't directly impact the student, but we just are really trying. So we hear you all on the programs, we hear you all on the preschool, on the cost. We're also trying to make sure that the school district can function appropriately and provide the children with the best we can. So thank you so much for the feedback. We always appreciate it. I just wanted to say that we really are taking the time to look into all of it.
Yeah, I just wanted to, chime in also. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, ma'am, but what you shared about technology, I definitely, I see your point, and it's a conversation that, I've had with other board members, and I think we've had, as a board together. Even when you go into, when you go to a store and, there's a young clerk who struggles to make change when you give him, like $1. and they have to give you change back, you know, it's stuff like that. It's not even just with writing, you know. So I think that, you know, I know, speaking for myself, you know, I definitely want to see the focus of the education, you know, stay with the reading, writing, and math where it needs to be, and to limit the technology as well. So that I definitely I agree with, and also as far as the tuition, you know, I can relate to that. You know, I don't know what the deposit. How much is the deposit now, Ben? Do you know?
900.
Is it
1,400 now.
Okay, like that would actually work out perfect if we did 1,400, and I'm just going to propose maybe 1,500 per marking, you know, per quarter, and you have the other 6,000, and you're at the 7,400. I don't know if we can make that happen, but you know, I think that would be a lot easier to stomach in this way. You know, you're not chasing for 10 payments, but you know, what are we talking? 40 kids? It's not like we got to get 4,000 payments. You know, but paying
Yeah, I would
1,500
honestly I would have to sit down with my staff and see if that's something that's manageable for us to be able to, you know, split so many payments up for 40 families and be able to collect and keep track of.
Okay, if you can,
But I
yeah,
can
if
look
you could look
that.
into it and let us know.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? Discussion points? Any other people?
Would anybody else like to speak for public comment?
Good evening, Danielle Marlboro, Danielle Blum on Marlboro. I just had a couple questions about the physical education curriculum. My son and my daughters are all at Dugan. They've been coming home most recently speaking about the things that they're doing in gym. These are consisting of rock, paper, scissors, and cup stacking. Coming from a time where we just came off of 2 years, being at home, able to release their energy, kind of learning in the house whenever they needed it, I find that my son especially is struggling without, especially on the days of like indoor recess, where they're not having any physical activity. Coming from a fitness background myself, I think it's really important that they're utilizing this physical education time for physical education. So I just wanted to know a little bit more about the curriculum and why those things are being put into a physical education curriculum, and how long that this is going to go on for, and kind of where the direction in which that curriculum is going for the kids. Right, thank you.
Thank you for that, for that feedback. What I can do, I don't have it in front of me, so I'd like to speak intelligently on it in terms of the units and timing. I will reach out to you personally, and then I can come back to the board and report on what we discussed. You're welcome.
Mr. Balone, I believe there is a state requirement that the districts have to have a certain amount of physical education. Is that's still in place?
Yep, it's 150 minutes per week.
Any discussion?
Would anybody else like to speak for public comment? Okay, seeing none, Mrs. Amster.
Executive session, resolution. Be resolved that in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, the Marlboro Township Board of Education shall conduct a closed executive session pursuant to the exception prescribed by NJSA 10-4-12 for the purpose of discussing matters of attorney-client privilege, school safety and security matters, personnel matters. It is anticipated that the length of time of this executive session will be 60 minutes and that action will not be taken in public after the executive session. Be it further resolved that the minutes of the executive session will be released when the need for confidentiality in accordance with NJSA 10-4-12 no longer applies. Do I have a second? Oh. Lynn, you got them? Okay. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. All right. Any opposed? Okay. Meeting adjourned. Oh, sorry.